Look at your skin right now. Just look at it. It's a color. You probably never think about why, but that color is the result of one of the longest, slowest experiments ever run on planet Earth. It started with a single color. Everyone had it. Every human who ever lived for hundreds of thousands of years had the same skin. Then something changed, and the real answer for why is far stranger than you were taught in school. You were probably told it's about the sun. Sun makes skin dark, less sun makes it light. That's not wrong, but it's not even close to the whole story. The real story involves a vitamin, a molecule that can literally break your DNA, a genetic mutation that arrived shockingly late, and a trade-off your body is still making every single day. Ready? Start at the beginning. Around 2 million years ago, your ancestors lost most of their body hair. Nobody knows exactly why. Maybe it helped them run long distances without overheating. Maybe it helped shed parasites. But once the fur was gone, bare skin was suddenly exposed. Exposed to what? The sun. Directly. Constantly. And that created a problem. Ultraviolet radiation from the sun does something dangerous. It damages DNA. It can also destroy folate, a nutrient your body needs to make healthy cells, especially in developing embryos. Without enough folate, pregnancies fail. Without protection from radiation, skin cells mutate and can turn cancerous. Early humans living under the intense equatorial sun of Africa needed a shield. Evolution built one. Melanin. Melanin is a pigment. It absorbs ultraviolet light before it can reach the DNA inside your cells. More melanin means more protection. So across those early populations, natural selection favored darker and darker skin. This wasn't a choice. It wasn't a preference. It was survival. The humans with more melanin protected their fertility and avoided lethal mutations. The humans with less melanin over generations simply had fewer surviving descendants. That is how, for the vast majority of human history, every person on Earth had dark skin. Here's where it gets interesting. If dark skin was the winning strategy, why does over half the world's population today have light skin? Wouldn't the same sun-based logic apply everywhere? It doesn't, because the sun isn't the same everywhere, and that's the twist most people never learn. Around 70,000 years ago, give or take, small groups of humans began leaving Africa. They moved north, into the Middle East, into Europe, into Central Asia, and the sunlight up there behaves completely differently. The angle is lower, the intensity is weaker. Winters bring months of dim, slanted light. This created a brand new problem, the opposite of the first one. Remember, ultraviolet light is dangerous, but your skin also uses a small controlled dose of it to manufacture vitamin D, a nutrient your body needs to absorb calcium and build strong bones. In a place with intense year-round sun, dark skin still lets through enough UV to make vitamin D. But in a place with weak, seasonal sun, dark skin blocks too much. It overprotects, and that overprotection can be just as deadly as the original threat, leading to bone-softening diseases and weakened immune systems. So a new trade-off appeared. In low sunlight regions, individuals whose skin let in a little more UV had an advantage. They could make more vitamin D. They survived better and had more children. Generation after generation, populations in northern latitudes gradually lost pigment. This is known scientifically as the vitamin D hypothesis, most extensively developed by biological anthropologist Nina Jablonski and geographer George Chaplin. Their research mapped skin color around the globe against UV radiation levels and found something remarkable. Human skin color closely tracks how much ultraviolet light a region actually receives. Dark near the equator, progressively lighter moving toward the poles, almost like a dial tuned by geography itself. Take a breath here, because this next part surprises almost everyone who hears it for the first time. You might assume this shift to lighter skin happened slowly and steadily as people migrated north over tens of thousands of years. It didn't. Genetic research shows something stranger. The mutation responsible for a major part of light skin in Europeans, a gene called SLC24A5, appears to have spread and become common surprisingly recently, potentially within just the last few thousand years. Geneticist Keith Chang's research first identified this gene's powerful effect on pigmentation, originally discovered through studies on zebrafish of all things. Even more surprising, ancient DNA studies have found that many many early hunter-gatherers living in Europe thousands of years after the migration north still had dark skin. They hadn't lightened yet. Farming and a change in available foods may have added even more pressure toward lighter skin, because grain-heavy diets provided less vitamin D from food than the fish and animal fats hunter-gatherers used to eat, making sunlight-driven vitamin D production even more critical. So skin color wasn't one migration and one adaptation. It was layers of pressure, stacking over deep time, sun exposure, diet, latitude, and genetics all pulling in different directions depending on where in the world your ancestors happened to stand. Quick question before you keep going, because this is the part that changes how you'll see the whole topic. What do you think happens when someone with skin adapted for one environment moves to a completely different one? If you already suspect the answer, drop it in the comments, because it's exactly the next piece of this puzzle. Here's the answer: mismatch. Right now, in the modern world, millions of people live somewhere their ancestors never evolved to live in. Someone with skin adapted for high UV protection near the equator, living in a low sunlight northern city, may be at higher risk of vitamin D deficiency. Someone with skin adapted for low UV environments, living somewhere sun intense, faces a much higher lifetime risk of skin damage and skin cancer. Your skin is still running code written for an environment your ancestors left long ago. It hasn't caught up. It can't. Evolution doesn't work on the timescale of a single human lifetime, or even a single migration. And this is where the ancient story quietly becomes a modern one. Every time you put on sunscreen, you're doing manually what melanin used to do automatically. Every time you take a vitamin D supplement in winter, you're compensating for a UV dose your skin can't get from a sun that's simply too weak at your latitude. The exact same tension that shaped skin color over hundreds of thousands of years, protection versus production, radiation versus nutrition, is still playing out inside your own body today. You're not separate from that ancient experiment. You're living inside its unfinished results. There's one more layer worth sitting with. Because skin color varies continuously across geography, with countless shades in between, it never mapped cleanly onto the discrete racial categories that later got assigned to it. Jablonski's research is often cited specifically to make this point. Skin color is a gradient shaped by sunlight and geography, not a set of fixed boxes. The lines humans drew on top of that gradient came from culture and history, not biology. The biology itself is just a dial, tuned slowly, generation after generation, by how much ultraviolet light hit a particular patch of the planet. So think back to the start. You looked at your skin and saw a color. Now you know it's closer to a receipt for every generation of your ancestors and exactly how much sun they stood under, going back further than written history, further than agriculture, further than almost anything you'd call civilization. Look at your skin again. It's not just a color anymore, it's a map.